Hi friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at VibraTite VC3 Threadmate. That's what I use when I want to tighten up a pivot screw that's coming loose or any screws that are coming loose on my knives. It's really, really good stuff that I tremendously like and I recommend all the time, but it can be a bit messy to apply. So I decided to check out this stuff. This is the LocTite blue stick. It's like a chapstick. So you got a sort of chapstick pasty kind of stuff in there. Very convenient, very easy to use, but are the results as good as these results give me, or which one do I prefer? What am I going to recommend? I don't know. I'm just doing the testing. I've put on both of these onto some knives about a month and a half ago, and as soon as I'm done recording this introduction, I'm going to take those apart and see what I think. I'm also going to talk a little bit about lubrication. How do I lubricate my knives? What do I use for that? So put on your lab coat, because Canadian Cutting Edge University is getting down to business. So I decided to use these knives to test it on, but I'm going to test it on, like I said, a whole bunch of knives. I'm going to demonstrate it on these two, I should say. And the 1168 is going to get the LocTite stick treatment. So the way this works is you just pop off the top and take your screw. Oops, I dropped the lid. I like to put it on the end of my little screwdriver. It just makes it a little bit easier to hold. And you just dip it into the thread a little bit until, there you go. You got some of that Threadlocker on the screw. Not an awful lot. It doesn't need a whole heap because it's just going to squeeze out if you do. Tighten it down. No blade play. Let's see if I can tighten it up just a tiny bit more. Yep. Yep, no blade play anywhere. Blade centering's perfect. Maybe a tiny bit more. Maybe there was a little bit of blade play. And now, set it aside for at least 24 hours. Don't move it, don't touch it. Let that stuff try to cure up. And now to use the VibraTite. I like to have a little bit of shop towel handy to do this on because it can get pretty dirty. Where's my hemostat? I like using my hemostat too. Take my hemostat and just grab hold of it. And first thing I want to do is clean it off. Make sure that it's cleaned as good as it should be. I should have demonstrated that on the other one already. You want them nice and clean. That other screw on the other knife was very clean. And I'm doing this one with the VC3 because I had done it with the VC3 before. Oops, taking the wrong part off. Just take the tip off here. And it does get gummed up, a little bit messy. That's left over from another time. There we go. Hold it between my fingernails like this, or use a hemostat, but I want to show you without a hemostat. I should have done that to start with because you might not have one. Just make it a little bit wet. All the way around if you can. Just a little bit. And see how messy it is? That's one of the main flaws with this. It's pulling around a little stringy stuff. And I'm going to waste a bunch if I'm not careful here. So get that cap on there as soon as I can. Pick this back up if I can. Wipe some of that off. I don't want too much of that, because then it's not going to work very well if you have too much. See that? It's messy, but it works very well. I already know this stuff works well. I don't know how well this works because I'm just trying it now. So what I have to do now is wait. Yeah, so there's more steps involved with VC3. I have to wait for that to dry to get really gummy. Depends on the humidity and heat in your place. You know, if you're outside or whatever, it could take anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes. Sometimes maybe a little bit more, but usually 20 minutes later, it's in good enough tackiness to put in the knife. Because of how messy this can be and how wasteful it can be, what I usually do is I don't do this until I need to use or do this to a number of knives so that I can squeeze some of this out and use the puddles of it. You can just take a screw, you know, if imagine this is the screw, you just put it into the wet stuff and smear it on there, and you don't waste as much of it that way. And it's just better. But for this demonstration, I just have the one here. And now I'm just rolling it into the threads now that it's a little bit dry. Oh, picked up a little bit more on my hand. Get it nice into those threads, packed in there. And put it there and tighten it down. And we're going to set this aside together with the other knife. Let them harden at least until tomorrow, but I probably won't record anything tomorrow. And then I'm going to use them, play with them a little bit, 4 or 5 minutes a day, every day. Maybe sometimes carry them as my primary knife. Well, I'll try to use both of these equally so that I'll be able to let you guys know how it works out. All right, this is 10 or 11 weeks later, and I carried them, tested them, and happily they both performed well. Neither of them came loose during use. As far as that goes, they're both good products. Now, before I take the screws out and see what the differences are about how well they release and things, let me tell you about the lubrication that I use. This is what I use. Why? Because it is inexpensive and it works very, very well. It's Lucas Oil's fishing reel oil. It's a high-performance oil. It's a very light oil. It lubricates and penetrates for lasting protection, blah, blah, blah. It is, I know that oil is hydrophobic already, but they've got some more elements in there so that it sticks and stays where it's supposed to be. It's designed for fishing reels that will often even get into water. And so it's one of the reasons why I really like this for an EDC knife, because you might drop it in a puddle. All kinds of things can happen to it. This is the lubrication that I like. I've got links down below, especially if you're in the United States, Amazon.com. This stuff is pretty inexpensive. But even in Canada, it's not too bad. And just sharing with you what I like. It comes with a little needle applicator. So yeah, it's really good. I just put a little bit on either side, on the washers on either side or on the ball bearings on either side. Not an awful lot. And just a tiniest bit into the detent hole or onto the detent ball after I've cleaned a knife. All right, so that's enough of that. Let us see. I know how well this is going to perform. Since this is hard to get outside of the United States, at least at a reasonable price, anybody who is not in the United States of America, I've got 3 sealed containers still. The way it works is, it's got one of those blister seals right there. So you have to break that blister seal when you're going to use it. But I will give this away to 3 different people, 1 to each person, so that if you want VibraTite, you can have it. Oh, look at that. One's even got yellow and these are white. Must have came from different batches. Yeah, I'll send it to you. The only thing I'm going to charge you is whatever it's going to cost to put it in the mail. And I'll probably even cover some of that expense to go in the mail. So if you are outside of USA, anywhere in the world, if you want to try this stuff, I will send you this tube. A tube like this. This one is getting closer to empty. This has lasted a couple years. best thing about this is, I'll show you. It's not that hard to start to remove the screw. The main claim to fame for VibraTite is fasteners won't loosen from shock and vibration. So that's what it's intended for. And what's more shock and vibration than flicking a knife open and it comes to a sudden stop? That's a lot of shock and vibration. And the VC3 here, the next biggest benefit of it is, the biggest benefit of this is the VC3 stays viable 6 or 7 times. You can take it apart, and all you have to do, once you're done cleaning the knife, as long as you don't clean the threads on that screw, you can retighten it up and it will work just fine again for another long time. So it's a really good product for using. Now this, one of the reasons I was hesitant about using LocTite is I was concerned that the blue stuff is quite strong actually. I thought it might make it hard to take the screws out. I made a video quite a while ago. A lot of people don't know that purple LocTite is the LocTite that's designed for small screws. And so, oh, that's not that hard. It took a bit of extra pressure, but yeah, I can get it to come loose. There we go. And it turned white. So that's why LocTite looks white. It is the blue stuff. So this is not so strong that you can't take it back apart easily. The only thing, well, the thing I don't like about LocTite is I'm going to have to clean this off now, and I should try to clean it inside there, but it's going to be really hard because you have to put on fresh LocTite every single time you take it apart and clean it. So it's more work in the long run, but it's not as messy as this is. I think it's worth the mess because I don't have to clean it every single time. Hopefully you've learned something. My comparison between these two, I'm going to call it a draw. It just depends on which way you prefer. I like this, that it's not messy, and I like this, that one application and it lasts for a long, long time. So thank you for watching my video. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.